Hello, and welcome to my third episode addressing spiritual sexuality for Christians. In the first episode, I introduced the topic of spiritual sexuality, which for me simply means opening our awareness to the presence of God during sex. This doesn't require some complicated or esoteric practice to achieve. It simply means remembering the presence that is already there, practicing the presence of God. In Him we live and move in and have our being. And this remains true even as we express ourselves sexually. In the second episode, I then addressed taking sex into the deep, in which I introduced 3 levels of our awareness during sex: the physical level, the personal level, and the spiritual level. Maybe another way to think of these levels as where we center our awareness. And so a body-centered level of awareness, a person-centered level of awareness, and a spirit-centered level of awareness. I want to spend some time today unpacking the body-centered, the physical level of awareness. At the body-centered level of awareness, our bodies are used simply for pleasure and procreation. And this is, for the most part, without care, concern, affection, or commitment to the other person. As I mentioned last time, this is a statement of development and not one of morality or intent. And so again, it is similar to the infant at his mother's breast, where for the infant, the mother is merely an object for his comfort and nourishment. His concept of motherhood has not yet fully developed. And so likewise for individuals at this body-centered level of awareness, the concept of personal sex has not fully developed. The person is more or less an object for pleasure and for procreation. And again, the emphasis here is on one's conscious level of awareness, which is not speaking to the ultimate reality of the encounter. And so our sexual expressions always carry a deeper meaning even when we're not consciously aware of it. And so there's more going on in sex than just the body, even if we're just aware of the body. Again, there's significance in an infant breastfeeding, even if the infant is not aware of it. Many of the sexual experiences in and out of marriage are at this body-centered level of awareness. For some, there is a true lack of caring for the other person. This may be the case in prostitution. This may be the case in other deviant and inappropriate sexual partners, sexual abuse, sexual molestation, rape. Maybe examples in which there's truly a lack of care and concern for the other person. However, this is not the case for everyone at this level. And so, for example, a husband can deeply love his wife, be affectionate toward her in other areas of life. However, sex for him is simply not in that same compartment. And so sex for him is just a way to manage his sexual energies. It's just a physical expression. And so love, intimacy, affection, those are separate things that he may do outside the bedroom. When it comes to sex, sex is just a means to express his physical desires. And so sex for this individual is limited to that bodily, that physical expression, and is not an expression per se of his love. But again, this doesn't mean that he doesn't necessarily care for his wife, that he doesn't love her, that he's not intimate and affectionate in other ways. Again, when it just comes to sex, sex is limited to this body-centered level of awareness. Because it's easy, and in a sense natural, this body-centered sex is pretty prevalent. All it requires is physical functioning. It takes time, it takes effort to learn how to integrate these natural, instinctual sexual energies into personhood, into our relationships. And so it's often much easier simply to keep sex as just sex, not something to be complicated with deeper meanings. And so again, for the husband, sometimes it's easier just to keep sex at the physical level. It can be wives as well. I'm just using husband as an example. It can be easier for him to keep sex at the physical level because it's messy. It requires a lot to figure out, okay, how do I take sex beyond just physically functioning into now this personal expression? I love you, I care for you, I don't know how to integrate that care into physical expressions, into my sexuality. As I was completing my dissertation, sending out surveys, some of the comments I got back was that my attention to these deeper levels was too esoteric, too impractical for the everyday man. I was encouraged to focus simply on helping couples to function and deal with the physical aspect of sex. And I get that there's a lot of pain, a lot of suffering just on this physical level, being able to function. Couples dealing with infertility, there's a lot of heartache just on this physical level of sex that needs to be cared for, that needs to be addressed. In introducing these different levels, I'm addressing it for those individuals who I would call functionally discontent, who may be able to function well in life, who may be able to function well in their sexuality, but also desire more, who know that there's more to the sexual experience than simply physically functioning. And so these talks, my attention to these things are for those individuals, those couples who want to discover that more. In my next episode, I'll be taking it to the next level and addressing person-centered level of awareness. And so until next time, keep discovering the more and live passionately.